What's happening, everyone? I'm Kieran for WrestleIn.com, and I'm joined by the first foreigner to ever win the Young Lion Cup. He's the first graduate of Katsuyori Shibata's LA Dojo. He's a mainstay on the New Japan roster. He's got one of the sickest drop kicks in all of wrestling, Karl Fredericks. Karl, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited. Got me enjoy my Sunday fun day with me.
Oh, yeah. I figured the best place to start is somewhere near the beginning. So what most people might not know is that as you joined the LA Dojo, you're in the process of joining WWE's Performance Center. Was it a difficult decision to pick New Japan and Shibata and the Dojo over WWE and the Performance Center?
I made the decision like on the spot. It was honestly it was scary kind of, but it was easy. I gave them the yes before I did anything else, and let them know that like, hey, well, I got to make some phone calls because this is going on, but like I'm in. So yeah, even if you asked me like a week before then, if I would be doing that or whatever, I'd probably be on the end of like, I don't know, that sounds like a stretch. But then, being there, meeting Shibata-san and seeing, just knowing that he wanted me here, it was enough for me. And coming up with an athletic background in sports and stuff, it's like I got to go play for the guy that wants me on the field. Like that's the guy that sees something in me and is going to bring more out. So it's worked out so far. It's been all right, I think.
A bit of an understatement, I think.
I'm having a good time. So.
So obviously, COVID aside, in regular circumstances, as a young lion, what's a normal day like in the LA Dojo? Like the training and of course. Notoriously the young lions have to do the chores and stuff like that. What's it like in the LA Dojo? We
had a really good system set up when it was just the three of us, Clark, Alex, and I, and we would be up practice somewhere around 9 a.m. or something like that. We drive down to the dojo, and then we're there until like a job, we're there till about 4 p.m. and then that includes the several hours of just intense training, workouts, wrestling, workout, like that's for hours. And then like depending on the day, like a few times a week, we'd sweep the dojo. Then Wednesday's bathrooms, and we're cleaning, scrubbing the showers and every week. And then a mop day, things like that. And then it includes every day scrubbing, hands and knees, scrubbing the ring, scrubbing the mat, wiping the ropes down, everything like that. And then kind of the same thing at home is everyone was, we just keep up on our chores. It wasn't like this like super strict, crazy. We're all just very clean as well. So like, do your dishes and make sure, we would clean the living room and, we sweep the house and stuff like that. So it was like chores were pretty relaxed, but that 7-hour workday in the dojo, that's what wears on you.
So obviously, Shibata is the head coach of the dojo. What is he like as a trainer? Is it all very intense with him, or?
Yeah, he's got one speed, and it's go. That's the joke. It's not even really a joke. We laugh about it when we say it, but it's kind of like one of his philosophies, just translated into broken English from the very early days, and we still say it now. And it's just the attitude is only go, just go. It's kind of like that, do or do not. There is no try, and like when you do it, just fuck whole ass, no half ass. That's it, just only go.
So what now? Obviously, you're not a young lion anymore. Did it change for you at the dojo? Like, you no longer have to do the chores? Is it more you can decide on your own training regimen, or do you still just follow along?
I actually moved out of the house, so I just kind of bounced around between LA and Reno because it's a short drive, and just to stay in ring shape and things like that. But when he's here, it's like the training, it's different for me. I still drill and will do things like that, but it's not, it's kind of on my own. Everything before that, before specific stuff it's more relaxed on my end. Or a lot of times I'll just go in early and get my workout in and then come back when they do, just to do the wrestling stuff or help out with Kevin and DKC, the new guys.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about him. What's it like? 'Cause obviously, for the longest time, it was you, Alex Coughlin, and Clark Connors, and now you've got two new guys who both joined relatively at the same time. What's it like having them around now?
I actually met DKC a couple times on the independents, probably right around the time that I got signed. And Kevin, I only met through the camps he had come to and things like that. But the one thing I think is like might even be like a superpower with Shibata-san is like genuinely like his intuition and like his guest work with people and who he's brought in. Because so far, you know, Alex Clark and I have been in each other's faces for 3 years now. And then when we're on the road, we're, you know, you guys, you know, we're a little pack. We're just stuck together. And then we were sleeping next to each other in, you know, in a bedroom. Like the first house we had, if you saw the documentaries, the first house we had, you know, we had those two, you know, like we called it like a mega bed because it was like 2 full-size beds in like the size of a regular small room. So like there's nights where Alex and I are waking up face to face, you know, like in the middle of the night, and we have no wrinkles. Like they work so hard, it makes me want to work even harder. And so like in a team situation, in a training situation like that, it's really important because, you know, like if you're busting your ass and you know, and the training's brutal, you know, it sucks, all of it's hard, and other people are not working as hard as you, that brings that more, you know, brings the morale down. It causes, you know, could cause conflict between the groups. Obviously the training wouldn't go well. We'd probably be punished if someone was, you know, not keeping up and things like that. And everybody that he's brought in just fits. Like those super close with those guys already. They work their asses off and they're just hungry to learn, you know, they're mouth shut, ears open, and they're for real, you know. So they're here, they get it, and they're progressing very fast.
Yeah, I feel like that's evident considering it was just you three for 3 years, like you said, and it's taken that long for anyone else new to join.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously shows.
And it's not that we haven't had people come in and try. You know, we've had hundreds of kids come with the camps that I've helped out since I've become a young lion. You know, probably like 3 or 4 multi-day camps. So you know, couple hundred kids maybe, and then like a specific tryout as well. And then, you know, I think that's how we got Jet really, or, you know, Kevin from that. But yeah, his intuition's good, man. He's kind of like Zordon, and he's we're the teenagers with attitude.
So obviously you're not a young lion anymore, but when you were, you're restricted to the black trunks, black boots. And now that you're not, you've got, you know, the red and white striking gear, you've got the tassels on your boots, you know, you look like a different person. Can you tell me about your gear? Because I know it's inspired by like your background and your culture and your heritage and stuff.
Yeah. I was trying to design gear or just come up with ideas since, you know, the day I signed, the day I knew that this is the deal, this is the system, and, you know, just being ready for one day. And then also like, I'm a freaking daydreamer, dude. Like I'm always like, oh, you know, I'm always thinking about the what if, or wouldn't that be great if, or, you know, those type of things. And I knew I wanted to put my heritage into my, you know, put my culture into my character, my gear, things like that. But I never wanted it to be, oh, I act this way because I'm this character. You know what I mean? I'm no less Native American for me being exactly who I am right here, right now, everything, you know? So for me, it was like, I wanted to have just subtle, you know, the nods to it. And obviously like you see it and you get it, you know, it's easily digestible. You understand, or if you don't know, if you're like, you know, what are the tassels? And then someone explains, oh, you know, it's just part of his culture, you know, he's Native American, these things, but the tassels and the things like that, I wanted like maybe even some cool, maybe the kick pads to look like moccasins of some sort, you know, but I wanted to keep it like also like edge. I mean, like I'm wearing a neon Chiefs, you know what I mean? Like yeah. I didn't want it to be like tan and look like animal hides, you know? And then for powwows, you know, any type of like big event like that, we have fancy dancers is what they're called. So you know, there's anywhere from kids to, you know, men, women, so that in the crazy costumes, and they're all, you know, with the dancing, you know, because the style of it fast moving, a lot of stomps and things like that. So there's bells on everything, you know, people have bells, chimes, and then the tassels. Like it's a part of, it's like a mesmerizing thing to see, you know, to see the gear move like that. And I wanted the look of the incorporation into my, you know, of that heritage, but I also wanted, you know, when I'm moving, when I'm running and I'm fun, like I want there to be like, it's almost like in my crazy head, like an extra glow around me, you know, because like as I'm moving, there's still things around me moving, you know, and they're shiny and all, you know, so it's just like this is the way I see it. And I mean, I get probably end of the day, as long as I don't look awful in the gear, which I don't think I do, then, you know, like that image in my head is what's making me go out there and carry myself, you know, like someone who is a star or wants to be a star, or with the intentions of like trying to wow people, you know. It's part of the aesthetic for me, you know. It's a complete package. I made I made my entrance music myself. Started that, took me a few months, you know, on airplanes, on trains in Japan, in the dojo, you know. So the whole experience is all, you know, it's supposed to be me and, you know, what I'm doing. And it's just, it was a really simple way, but I think a very effective way to add extra just individuality and then give that nod in a way that I was comfortable with, you know, because at the PC, that was like one of the first things, you know, once I knew I was in a good spot, probably going to get a job, it was like the very first thing that was asked, if, you know, point at my tattoo and would you be interested in incorporating your heritage? And, you know, I was absolutely, but I want to do it how I want to do it, you know. And same thing, of course, even in that land, you know, I had 10 ideas ready, you know, because I just terrified of hating my job, you know, hating what I do, or who, not only, you know, your part in all of it that's kind of whatever, that's a little bit out of your control, you know, but like, I don't want to hate who I am in this universe, you know. And that's something that was like a genuine fear of mine, you know, pursuing this. And because I hadn't done it on the indies, because I wanted to get to a spot where I could prove myself to be, you know, a top talent, and, you know, let my talent speak first rather than the gimmick and things like that. And then, you know, like, unless you're a complete asshole, like, what are you going to do? You watch me wrestle, like, what are you going to say? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like the gear, that's totally fine. That's okay. You know, but my work is at a spot, and I'm in a spot where I can carry that proudly and carry it proudly for my culture, you know, as opposed to, you know, it's just better now than when I was trying to become somebody, you know. Now I'm in a spot where I can actually make a difference with it.
Yeah, for sure. You said about, you know, moving and you've got the tassels making it look like, you know, they're moving as well. They look amazing when you do your drop kick. And I wanted to speak to you about that drop kick because, you know, every so often someone will post it on Reddit and Reddit will be like, how the fuck does he do that? So how did you figure out, like, when did you figure out you could do that? And, you know, how do you do that? It doesn't look possible.
It's strange because even when we first started touring and stuff, my drop kick from being in the dojo had gotten, you know, beautiful, perfect backflip, all that stuff. And one of my original trainers was the Reno Scum with Impact Wrestling, and Adam Thornstow. He's got in my opinion, top 10 drop kick in wrestling. You know, he's a gymnast. He's got hops, his standing moonsault, everything is ridiculous. And, you know, in the indies, like, I can flip, I can do all that stuff, and I can do it well. But my drop kick was always like, okay, you know. But so then out of nowhere, he's kind of like, "Where your drop kick's great." All of a sudden, like, what happened, you know? And oddly enough, Shibata-san's the one that taught me how to, like, perfect just that standard drop kick. And then during the Young Lion Cup, this is how the twist, the special drop kick started to come. You know, I was taped up, my shoulder was taped up the whole time. I heard it in the G1. That's when the injury started, and just the way I was landing sometimes, like, I was landing on it weird. And then I just kind of like went to protect myself extra after I kicked on one of them, and I spun and I ended up taking like that back bump, and then I watch it back and I was like, holy shit, I did a corkscrew front, like a senton. I don't know what I did, but it looked great. And then I didn't land on my shoulders, so like more often than not, when you saw it, and it was kind of different every time, but still cool, but like it's different almost every time. But that's because I was learning it as I went, and it was just to protect my shoulder, because landing on it was getting to it, and I knew that it wasn't it wasn't doing well. And then oddly enough, when I separated my shoulder last January, it was doing the drop kick. So
so ahead of the Super J Cup, New Japan announced that you're injured again, so you had to miss the match against them, the tag team match against Kenta. How's that injury going? Are you recovered? Are you back in the ring soon? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I'm active again. I'm back training. Healthy it's both. I separated both of these shoulders in 2020. In January, I separated this one very badly, and then my debut singles match against Jeff Cobb on New Japan Strong, I separated this one, and it wasn't as bad as this one. I knew it immediately, so that was okay. But now they're just kind of in a spot where, and because of the pandemic, there's, I couldn't go see a physical therapist or anything. So I was healing, looking up on YouTube, stuff to do. And so then, it's just, they've been kind of in a spot where they're a little sketchy here and there. But as I've been off Strong for a few months now, and I've had time to really get him back going. So as far as I feel, like I'm lifting it 100%. I'm back I'm in ring shape and all that stuff. So I'm ready to go once opportunities come.
And obviously your last match was against Jay White, and you've not been seen since, unfortunately, have you? Almost over 2 months ago now, I think.
December 8th. Not that I know the date that it
aired. So obviously the pandemic, one of the last things you did before the pandemic struck and you was in Japan was you made your Wrestle Kingdom debut inside the Tokyo Dome. What was that experience like, because pre-show you come out from the baseball dugouts, you had that long run to the ring. How was that whole experience just competing inside the Tokyo Dome?
It was oddly quiet. Like, I mean, it was loud, all the stuff, but it was just like in the ring, it was like almost as if you cupped your ears, and you just like, I can feel tens of thousands of people, it was 40,000, 50, something crazy. I can feel it. I've never been in front of that many people, and I can hear it, but like, it's almost like just everything in the ring was like, we're in our own bubble almost, so it was much easier to focus and go out and execute than I thought it would be. I was nervous for that, but that run to the ring was the crazy thing. It just, and I took more time. I took my time, and I always do, on the sprints. At some point I just stopped sprinting anyways, just because I thought it would be noticeable, any little thing you can do to stand out. But then more so it was just about taking in those moments, and I'm like, I'm jogging out, and then I see, I have like a group of friends that was, wrestler friends are there. So and I didn't notice them until like I had kind of passed them. So then it was just everything about it was special, and the match went great. I got to square off with Makabe-san in the Tokyo Dome. It's insane. And then the next night at New Year's Dash, like that was my favorite match as a young lion. I think was just Clark, Alex, and I. It's 6-man, and we all went out and killed it. That's the same building that I debuted at the G1. Yep. So same thing there. And then I made my Japanese debut tapping Ren Narita out with a single leg Boston Crab. And then there I am at New Year's Dash 6 months later, coming off winning the Young Lions Cup in World Tag League, Tokyo Dome debut, and then there I am right back in that same building winning, in the same fashion. It's just, that run was my first little run in Japan was just so crazy how much good stuff happened so fast. And then it was injury and then pandemic.
Yeah, no, it really did start for you. I actually went to that Wrestle Kingdom last year. So I was there for your Dome debut, and the Oat Award match was just unbelievable. The crowd was so hot, and it wasn't like a Young Lion match at all. Like you three,
that crowd was insane, man. I watched that match back to like if I get sad, like if I feel down, I'll just go watch that match. Like it's if I'm missing wrestling, I'll watch that match.
No, I love that match as well. It's very much you're leading the crew in that match as well. You're the one shouting the commands, and you're the one telling Alex and Clark what to do, and you're on the rope getting the crowd going. I absolutely love that match. I can very vividly remember that match.
Thank you.
So yeah,
you mentioned Ron Funches in the crowd. I'm pretty sure Ron Funches was there.
Really?
The comedian. I'm like 95% sure because I remember like looking at his Twitter and things like that, you know, because he was like posted some pictures, but on the entrance, you know, I look out into the crowd and at that point, like I started to more just take the lid off myself a little bit and start interacting with the crowd more, you know, and like you said, I was doing more on that end. And like for some reason, he's like the first person I saw like directly out in the crowd. And I was like, I know who that is. Holy cow. But yeah, that crowd was so fun that night.
You mentioned World Tag League. I wanted to speak to you about Hirooki Goto, just to see what your relationship's like with him, because prior to G1 Climax 29, he headed to LA to train with you and Shibata in the LA Dojo. He got into incredible shape, had an amazing G1, and then you two teamed up for World Tag League. And of course, Young Lions are notorious for losing. You guys picked up 3 wins, including over Tenzan and Kojima. And you didn't even finish bottom, which is quite remarkable for a team that's got a young lion. How was that month with Hirooki Goto and just the relationship you two were able to build in the Yellow Dojo and then working together for an entire month?
It was such a blessing, man, and an honor, obviously. But yeah, he came to LA and stayed with us for maybe almost like a few weeks, a month, something like that. You know, he was training with us every day, and so we would do our training, and then Shibata was working with him separately on his things, and then then he has us wrestling him, and we're like actual like Greco-Roman like wrestling. You know, that was back when we're wrestling friend. You know, like we're so like that was such a big like learning experience there, being able to have the hands-on, especially like the you know, real physical with someone who's so well versed in it, you know, with we don't get to have that hands-on with Shibata-san, obviously because of his injury, you know. And then so, you know, then we go to G1, you know, very already close with him, all that stuff, but getting to do tag league, that was my first trip to Japan by myself. So, you know, Shibata-san, everyone was here in the dojo still training, and so that was like a little scary, you know, like I guess you know, it was kind of like the start of my split away from the Young Lions, you know, kind of like, well, I guess I'll see you guys when I see you, you know, and then it's like, all right, and well, now you're going to go compete in tag league, and you have to like, one, just like the odds are stacked against you clearly, like you said, or just the expectations, but either way, you have to perform to that certain level. And I got to go out, you know, with his guidance and wrestle you know, just about the entire roster, and the learning experience there was unreal, you know, and we picked up some wins, you know, and it's like they're minute things, I think, you know, but just even like the stuff you mentioned in the intro, you know, like that's a little bit of that's like a little bit of history feather in my cap, you know, type of thing. Like that's, as far as resume goes, you know, like these little things they're really special to me. So even that, you know, and again, just being a big sports fan, you know, so it's like you have that team in the tournament, and it's like, man, I'm from like a small college that for some reason has like a really good basketball team like once or twice a decade, you know, and you hope they'll make that tournament run. And sometimes, you know, though, and if the team does go deep, it's like, oh, remember that was the year that, you know, yeah, we know Duke won, but that was the year that Nevada went and, you know, made a little run in the tourney. That was interesting. So it's kind of like winning is incredibly important to me, but then, you know, to get there, to get to that spot where you're on the top, like, you know, it's going to have a lot of, you know, the wave is going to be up and down, and it's just finding those moments and those little things, the accomplishments in the failures as well, you know, because going out and, you know, we failed the mission technically for all intents and purposes, but man, the guy that I came out of that as, you know, the wrestler that I was by the end of that tour is priceless, you know. And then I have those little bits of things that I can appreciate and build on.
mean, the biggest thing as a young lion was, of course, winning the Young Lion Cup. You know, the first foreigner to ever win the cup. The likes of Masahiro Chono, Liger, uh, Kojima, and of course Goto have won it. You know, going into that cup and then winning it, did you realize like just how prestigious the history of it was, like who had won it and how important it was to win that cup?
Yeah, I knew 100%. I knew what was at stake on that end, but for me, it was I still trying to figure out how I best articulate the importance of or the significance of me being the first non-Japanese, you know, the first Gaijin to win it. Because yeah, it's a rich history. It's insane. You know, it's a very small list as well, and to be some kid from, you know, Tatooine, Nevada, you should go out to Japan and make that kind of history is insane. And I think it's kind of maybe more so along the lines of like what I said with the ring gear, you know, like to me, I'll probably be able to better articulate that once I prove what winning the cup means and become what you can become. If you know what I mean? Like that's, you win the Young Lions Cup and it's like, okay, there's something here, you know? And then once I become that, and once I can start to put that together and really see it and I'm living it, then it'll be probably easier for me to accept the fact that that is a bit much bigger deal than I've kind of had it in my head. But I think it's also because the moment Shota tapped, you know, it was just a fucking weight off of my, if anything, like it was like the room went quiet, you know, and like, and I collapsed, and I was just the first time that I felt like a breather since I signed, you know, because it was signed in 2018 and it wasn't until, you know, a full year later we go to Japan. So like no one even knows we're with the company. We're working, you know, we're training hours a day, 6 days a week. It's very hard, you know, and then so then you're just living in that, like, you know, get through this day because someday you're gonna go to Japan, but you do that every day for a year, you know, and then you get there, and then now the pressure's on, and then now, you know, it's the young lion life, the young boy life in Japan is not easy, you know, and it's a culture shock and all of that. So it's just waiting for that moment to come. Then you get there, and then it's just like, hey, it's all dumped on. It's like, all right, you're in it now, go swim. And then it was amazing, you know, it's fun, it's what I want to do, it's what I love to do. But yeah, that was, for me, it was just like, thank God. You know, and then it's Shibata's name on it too, you know, where I was talking to a wrestler friend recently, and someone had asked like, oh man, imagine the pressure it would be like if he had a son or something, you know. And I was like, I think I can. I was like I can imagine it a little bit. Or someone said, can you imagine, and that was my response. I was like, yeah, I can imagine a little bit. And then the light bulb went off in their head. They're like, oh yeah, for sure. You know. So it was just like that, man. It's like, you know, I wanted to, you know, I'm trying to make my real family proud, and, you know, I'm trying to make that man proud, because he's like, everything I have right now I owe to him. You know, he's the one that brought me in, and you got to deliver, you know, you got to live up to it. And it's sometimes it's hard, but I've done a decent job of it so far, I think. And it's just, yeah, it's little bits of like anxiety, and then you get your breath, and then you go to bed and you get up and it all starts again. You know, you go find the next thing that's going to stress you out, but that's the beauty of it, probably.
At least you're not a long line anymore, still going through that too much, eh?
Oh man, I can leave this house right now if I want to, and I don't have to tell nobody about it.
Obviously, like, you know, wrestling's pretty crazy at the moment with all this Forbidden Door stuff. You've got Kenta showing up on AEW, Finley and Juice are on Impact, Moxley's finally back in a New Japan ring. What are your thoughts on it all? You know, are you all for it? Like, everyone should be doing these type of collaboration? You want in?
I want in. I want to fight everybody, you know. Yeah, and I mean, you look around the world, you know, every major company has top level world class talent, you know. And you know, I'm a wrestler, man. Like, what am I doing here? You know, if I like, why would I not want to, you know, wrestle and fight as many people as I can, you know. And all the greats have done it. They, you know, they traveled the world before they settled in America. And, you know, my story is interesting because I got to start there, you know, and like grow up with like in America watching that, you know, that style of wrestling, that, you know, and thinking that that was probably just going to be it, you know, and then I somehow found myself in Japan with a style that's 100% is for me, you know. And now we get this opportunity, expanded universe. Like what doesn't sound great to me, and like what doesn't sound great about that, you know, like that's better for everybody. It's better, it's more interesting for us, you know, and styles make fights. So every company has their own style. You know, you watch each program that has a different look, feel. It's all wrestling, you know, they have different styles, and I am a believer in that. Styles make fights. So the possibilities here are just endless. And there's a lot of young guys that are in the same exact spot I am, you know, trying to make their way up in AEW. And or you know, I have people I came up with fighting on the indies that are signed now, you know, and like I can't think of, you know, better stories, you know, just even just personally, like, you know, do our thing, go off and level up, and then all right, let's see where we're at now. You know, that's just simple wrestling. That's just the idea of teasing a good match, a good fight, you know. So it's exciting, and I'm glad to see that US championship is back on strong, and that, you know, we're going to get the wheels turning with that. And again, you know, the pandemic is to blame for all of that stuff, you know. It's just incredibly complicated as far as the crossovers go, and travel and things like that. But now it seems like things are moving, and I'm excited about it. But yeah, I want in.
So what you're saying is basically you're going to be turning up on AEW at some.
I'm not against it.
Right. One wrestling-ish question before I change the topic. How much are you missing Yuya Uemura?
About an 8. 8.5, yeah, 8.
Did he ever learn how much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
No, he has no clue. No clue.
Right. Something I wanted to touch on is obviously you're a massive music fan. You know, you create your own entrance music, like you said, for New Japan Strong. You do DJs.
Yeah, my Sunday fun day. After this, I'll be out here just making noise for a while.
That's what I was going to say. You do DJ sets on Twitch, twitch.tv/Karl Fredericks. Mm-hmm. Has music always been a big passion of yours along with wrestling?
Yeah, 100%. My family is, you know, my dad's a guy that had a, you know, like probably upward of 500 CDs collection, and always listening to music. Like there's always music playing some sort, or he's even the guy that like had the home theater system, you know, like we always had, like movies were always watched incredibly loud, or he watches a lot of live concerts, you know, buys the DVDs. And like when I was younger, I used to think kind of like, why would you, you know, like it's kind of strange, like watching a live event, but not at, you know, but then I watched one, it was actually a Neil Young concert, and it's one of my favorite live albums of all time. And then like I wanted to be a guitar player because of that. And then my aunt, my mom's side of the family they're all incredible musicians. I'm like self-taught, like I can, you know, I find my lane like with guitar, and then I was like playing in pop punk bands and stuff like that. And, you know, the DJ stuff, learn how to produce, like I'm like, I can figure it out if I'm interested in it, but they can pick up any instrument, you know, read the music, it's unreal how they are. And my aunt on my mom's side, my mom's sister, she was very like instrumental in my because I spent a lot of time over there, you know, with my cousins when I was younger. And you know, just kind of like making us, like we were always like singing or performing or something, you know, or like I was like playing guitar, trying to dance like Michael Jackson. I was thinking like she would always play Michael Jackson because like I would try to mimic the moves, you know, things like that. So I was always like just encouraged, like in a musical aspect, like it was just like everything to me. So then like I remember the first CD I purchased with my own money was The Offspring's Americana. And so, like once I started getting like buying my own music, and then sometimes it was just based off the album, you know, the cover, the CD cover, and it was just kind of over. Like the Shibata-san has like a a joke that he made. It's like an invitation to me, and it's essentially because I'm 24/7, my headphones are in, you know, so if car ride or any, anytime you want to talk to me, more often than not, I'm what, you know, and that's his impression of me. Yeah, man, I'm obsessed with it. I love everything. It's like just like wrestling now, especially I've been producing a lot, and I'm hoping by summer I'm trying to get about 8 to 10 songs together and put out a dance EP and finish them. But I've got about 10 that are, ready to start working on, and I'm still making more and things like that. But yeah, like I in April of last year, I bought this little learner DJ set because I wanted to learn how to play because I was producing, and I went to my first music festival, and I've been to EDM shows and stuff, but then like just the festival level, it was the best time. It was amazing, and it was just I've always, I was singing, doing soul, like R&B pop music before. Like when I started wrestling, I was like singing and performing and like doing that stuff, and I've always just, it's like something I saw, at any concert I go to, I stuck watching the performers, studying a little bit. And then there's just part of me that, just like with wrestling, is like, I can do that, like I want to do that. I think I can pull that off. And then, yeah, I bought some gear. I've been playing for hours every day. So April will make a year now that I've been DJing, which is kind of insane to me because I'm living in the Groundhog Day that we have been for the last year. It's kind of, I'm stuck in the mindset of like, yeah, I just started, I'm learning, but I'm not. Like I played 4-hour sets on Twitch and stuff now, and yeah, I'm obsessed with it, man. Like that's, as soon as I'm done with the gym and wrestling stuff, then it's like hours of music before I take my break from music and like watch wrestling and study up and keep up with whatever's going on. But yeah, it's honestly all I do.
Could we see a collaboration with Rocky Romero? Obviously, he puts out his own music, doesn't he?
Yeah, something I'm absolutely up to doing, and we've tossed the idea out. It's just finding, settling on something or finding something that works. But yeah, definitely. I've even talked to Chris Bay about it because he's just a good friend of mine. We came up together. I wrestled a lot in Vegas, a ton in Vegas. It was like my second home. And then just like some of his stuff, I listened, he puts it out and I listened to it and just reminded me of, something that would fit good with, this song, so we've teased those ideas, but then it's like what happens with collaboration in music and, it's just probably the same you find, half the time with doing interviews, like, hey, let's do an interview. It's like, yeah, I'd love to, cool, and then maybe a year later it happens or, sometimes that's just how it works,
So combining the two then, what are some of your favorite wrestling entrance songs?
Let's see. I'm trying to, the Brood theme. Okay. The Brood theme is one of my, hands down, one of my favorites. Obviously the Hardy Boys, I was a huge Hardy Boys fan. But yeah, it's the Brood, and then the drums on Razor Ramon's theme. Like, I see, and like for me, it's like the production, like the things, those are the things that like stand out. But yeah, like Razor Ramon's theme. I love the Thugonomics theme. That one was great. Booker T's theme, the Harlem Heat theme. Like that's the one, stayed the same, and that one has always been amazing. Who's help me out? Throw out some names, because I know there's a lot of good ones, and it's like something every time I watch wrestling, that so and so's got a great theme, but I'm like drawing blanks other than my childhood here.
Yeah, no, I could only really tell you probably current day New Japan.
Yeah, and obviously with like, I like make electronic music, so like LP, he's an asshole, but he's got a cool theme song, like. Yeah, I think generally collectively though, I do think that like right now, New Japan consistently across the board has the best theme songs in wrestling. Like every single person has a theme song that is like a personality, and there's like the there's a whole lot of thought that went into Naito's production, like making that song. And then like Sonata song that's just like that wailing guitar, like that's a great freaking song, like everybody has amazing music, I think, like across the board in New Japan. And like some of them, and it of course, if you're mass producing things, and it's coming from one person, like of course at some point, like a lot of new themes are just going to kind of sound like songs made that are not bad songs, but maybe just like don't fit the person, and that's also part of a great wrestling theme, is like it matches the artist, the artist matches the personality of the wrestler.
Another thing I wanted to touch on, because I know how much you love horror films. What are some of your all-time favorite horror films?
The Scream series, that is my favorite. I would say like collectively as a maybe like the Conjuring series as well, and like Insidious, or just as far as like but they're like not scary. They're just fun. They're really fun movies. The Exorcist is my number one. I begged my parents to let me watch it when I was like 7, because it was one of those like, yeah, you probably shouldn't watch this, but like I was watching horror movies forever, like, but that was the one that like, yeah, you probably shouldn't watch this, and like I begged, and sure enough, like I sneak it into my sister's room at night to like sleep at the foot of her bed because I'm too scared to sleep alone. Like the last 2 years, like I've watched that movie on Christmas with my dad. Like we just like it's a movie we watch together a lot. The Exorcist and like newer stuff, man, like Hereditary and Midsummer are like 2 of the best movies I think I've ever seen, just as far as like what they make you feel. Like they just make you feel gross and like bad, and like they're amazing.
Yeah, no, I always wanted to see a horror film done in daylight. And like I was like, how could they do it and make it scary? And then Midsummer knocked out of the park.
Yeah, you're just uncomfortable the whole. It was crazy. It was amazing.
Okay, so if you were making your own wrestling stable group that consisted of horror villains, who are you bringing into your group?
Definitely Ghostface. He'll be the guy under the hood. And then there's I don't know his name, but have you seen House of a Thousand Corpses? So there's in House of a Thousand Corpses, there's a scene like towards the end where there's like this big, like deformed, ugly monster guy, and like he's just like, and the makeup's it's like practical movie makeup too, so like it just looks gross because it's just this big thing that somebody made, and so like that'll be you got to have a giant, you got to have a muscle guy, so I'll take that big ugly guy. Freddy Krueger for promos. And then let's make a tag team out of big scary guy from House of a Thousand Corpses and Jason Voorhees, just because you don't want him not on your team. And the Leprechaun. He's gonna be my junior heavyweight.
All right. One last question that we ask all our guests. So we're Wrestle Inn, like a pub. So imagine you've got a table at Wrestle Inn. What meal are you eating? What drink are you drinking? And what 2 wrestlers are you bringing along for company?
So if I'm going to dinner, what am I eating? What am I drinking? Who's with me?
Yeah.
Well, I'll start. What am I eating? I'm eating tacos. I'm eating shrimp tacos or fish tacos. And I'm easy as far as drinks go. This is a mimosa, by the way, friends. If I'm eating tacos, I'm going to go with a margarita. Yeah, shrimp tacos. I'm drinking tequila of some sort, maybe just tequila, who knows. And because the world's been closed and I just desperately miss the old rowdy days, Adam Thornstow's with me, and Shibata-san. It's me and my 2 wrestling dads.
I'll be very curious as to what Shibata's eating and drinking after some.
Steak, protein. protein, and then whatever the bartender's pouring.
Protein shake.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, awesome. I think that covers it, man. You can follow Karl on Twitter at Karl Fredericks _. You can follow him on Instagram at Karl Fredericks NJPW, and you can watch his DJ sets on Twitch, twitch.tv/Karl Fredericks. Karl, thank you so much for this. I've loved it. Thank you so much for your time. All right, I'll speak to you soon.
Take care.